Nice.
Emojis are a part of many of our daily conversations, from the laughing face to the dancing girl. They're part of how we currently converse. Now, as a result, they are also showing up as evidence in court cases. In today's Injuries Are Personal with Carl Reynolds Law, attorney Carl Reynolds explains the challenge that emojis are presenting for the courts. I saw a statistic from a law professor who went into a big study of this that says emojis are referenced in 30% of all U.S. court cases. Well, that's crazy.
It is crazy. I'm not a big emoji user, so I will
you're
plead
male.
ignorance. And I guess I'm a little older than that generation, just missed it. But yes, there's people that I text with that they don't send a text without using an emoji. It's becoming another language. I suspect in the coming years, we're going to have keyboards that will have emoji symbols on it.
That would make it easier for the teens, that's for sure. So let's go back and talk about texting first of all. How can text messages get admitted legally into evidence?
Well, they're a written form of communication, and therefore they're documented evidence relative to, it could be your intent, what you say, a threat. It could be a contract. And a lot of times now, these are being done via mobile devices. So texts are the same as written contracts, same as letters, same as emails that they've been in the past.
Something important to remember when we send texts.
They're not just out in cyberspace and can't be used against you. They can and will be used against you, absolutely.
Now, if you've ever had a disagreement with somebody, you know that texting's tough because inflection doesn't always come through. So moving on to emojis, what challenges does the inflection with an emoji present? Well,
the advantage to emoji is it does help put context to something that's said, right?
Okay.
So, for example, if I sent a message, or my wife sends me a message saying, "Get home now!" exclamation point. That was the traditional way, right?
Right.
What does that mean? Right? Does it mean I'm in trouble? Does it not?
Sounds like it.
So if there's a smiley face with heart eyes, then that may mean something different than a frowny face with smoke coming out, right?
Right.
Get home now may have a whole different meaning to me when you add in the emoji. The problem from a legal context is what I intended and what was conveyed may be something different. Let me give you an anecdotal example. When emojis were being used first, and first you just had the smiley face, you just do the colon and parentheses, and then they started actually putting faces. Well, you know, hopefully I can say this on there, the poop emoji, okay?
Sure.
I thought it was ice cream. Right. Okay, I didn't know so if someone sent that to me, I would interpret it completely different than maybe what they intended. So, you know, that's the problem, is what do they really mean? And also between devices, they could be different. An Apple device compared to an Android device, they're proprietary. They are trademarked. So what they interpret may look different and may have a different meaning to the recipient.
It's interesting because when the cases that I looked at that were having the emoji issues, a lot of them were sexual assault, meaning was it reciprocal?
Right.
Emojis came into play. How do the courts handle it? How do you interpret something that's just kind of vague?
Well, right now, because emojis are, I wouldn't say cutting edge, but they're newer. You mentioned they're being referenced in court cases now. They're not standalone evidence. You can't just go based on emojis alone. You got to go by context. So they're going to go by witness statements, what was written in the text and the body of the text, but they can provide context, and the courts have to consider that. For example, there was a case where it was decided across the pond in Israel where a landlord was negotiating a rental deal with a potential tenant, and the tenant responded, instead of saying, "I accept the terms of the contract or signing," put a champagne bottle, thumbs up, everything else. Later, that tenant went and got a different property. The landlord sued for damages because he considered
that an acceptance.
Correct, and the court said it can go to a jury. It was sufficient enough because the jury should determine whether or not that meant an acceptance.
Be mindful of the emojis.
That's
Apparently, they are part of the legal landscape.
Correct.
And maybe for new careers, the teenagers could think about becoming emoji experts for a trial. For more information about any of your legal questions, go to injuriesarepersonal.com with Carl Reynolds Law. We'll be right back.